Aurora police are looking for the teenager who drove so recklessly that 2 schools tightened up security today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Clark.
I'm Kim Christensen. No one at Cherokee Trail High or Fox Ridge Middle was hurt, but it caused quite the scare. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause joins us with more. Rachel.
Yeah, students and staff were all safe, but the district says the student was speeding and driving erratically through the parking lot and hit multiple cars.
Today was a shock to all of us.
School's nearly out for the year.
Yes.
And Cherokee Trail High seniors Selena Gill and Acacia Wood expected an easy day.
And literally, I was not expecting this day to go like this. I came into the parking lot like, oh, this will take literally 30 minutes tops. And then all of a sudden, there's a guy that almost hits me and my friends. He was speeding through the CT parking lots. I was there at like 8:30 in the morning. And he's like just looping around, drifting on the corners, being very loud and honking.
Cherry Creek Schools says a 17-year-old Cherokee Trail student was driving erratically and hit multiple cars.
The video, it was insane.
2 police officers formed kind of like a brigade trying to trap him into the lot, and instead he went up and over the grass. I watched the whole thing from Eastern Hills, so I was also able to see the car tire get slashed. And then the driver coming on to oncoming traffic on Arapahoe. I thought an accident was going to happen.
Aurora police were called out and Cherokee Trail and Fox Ridge Middle were put on secured status. Meeting students and staff were all brought inside and all exterior doors were closed and locked.
Student in the red shirt, come on! Come on!
Cherry Creek schools say the teen left and came back to the school multiple times in the morning before driving away, although APD says the student was only at the school once. But this all started the night before. APD says the boy's guardian reported him as a runaway and that he'd stolen her car. Police still haven't found him.
And hopefully he gets the mental health help that he needs, because this is just not a normal thing.
Selena and Acacia say they're grateful for how fast school security and police jumped in, preventing this scary situation from getting worse.
We're just grateful that no one got hurt.
Schools stayed on secured status throughout the day today. No word yet on plans for tomorrow, but Cherry Creek Schools says the school has SROs and security that can be on hand. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
Workers at DIA initially missed a security breach by the man who snuck onto airport property late Friday night and was hit and killed by a passenger plane. At a news conference today, airport officials acknowledged the man likely triggered a ground detection system just minutes before the deadly collision. They say an airport operator saw that alert and checked cameras in the area, but only reported seeing a herd of deer. 41-year-old Michael Mott went on to climb an 8-foot fence topped by barbed wire and walked to the runway. He was then hit and killed by a Frontier Airlines flight with 231 people on board. Investigators determined he died by suicide. Phil Washington, the airport CEO, says the wildlife and ditches on the DIA property are likely what kept the man from being detected. He says the airport is now looking at how to better monitor the fence line.
There's a gulch between the fence line and the runway, so we're looking to make sure that we have line of sight in all of those areas as well.
Denver police still haven't figured out how the man got to the airport. They searched the area near where he climbed the fence and didn't find a car, a bike, or anything to explain how he got there. They do know he had a long criminal history. There are at least 2 occasions in recent years where he had criminal charges dropped because he was found mentally incompetent to stand trial.
Another warm day today, and tomorrow we're going to turn the dial up even higher. Could be hitting the 90s quite a bit earlier than we normally do. And Kathy Saban, a couple weeks ago, we said, all right, well, that track's coming out of the winter that we had, but then we got that snowfall, and I feel like it scrambled our brains about where we are.
Agreed, and we're trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Anything is possible. Today, one of the cooler days this week, and temperatures still trending 10 degrees above average. And outside right now, we're still at 69 degrees in downtown Denver, 50s in the mountains. So you can imagine that the snow will be melting rapidly. Humidity values up a bit with that easterly influence of the wind, which thankfully has come down a little bit. There's a weather system north and west of us, but the predominant feature is high pressure, which will generate some cloud cover, but not much moisture moisture from those clouds. So we expect to have a sunny day tomorrow, maybe the warmest day of the week. And really, we're going to start tomorrow morning in the 50s and just watch those numbers soar. If we get to our forecast high of 89, that's 1 degree shy of the record and well above average. The record tomorrow is 90, set back in 2015. So actually, we're kind of looking at this trend to continue all throughout the week with multiple days and record high temperatures possible. But there are some changes coming in by the weekend. We're going to talk about a cooler change and a chance for rain coming up.
Investigators say a fire west of Loveland was started by accident. The Larimer County Sheriff's Office says someone working on a residential property sparked the Sedona Hills fire yesterday. They say that the person followed fire restrictions, so they're not going to face charges. Fire burned about 12 acres, didn't damage any buildings or hurt anyone. All the evacuations were lifted last night after firefighters fully contained the fire.
A jury in Douglas County awarded one of the largest civil judgments in state history, $24 million, for a man targeted in a false criminal case by a Parker police detective. Robert Dial sued the former detective after he was arrested in 2022 on felony charges of tampering with evidence and accessory to murder. The charges were dismissed 5 months after his arrest, but his attorneys argued the case led to him losing his job and ruining his reputation. The case centered around Dial's son, who shot his roommates, killing a man and injuring a woman. His son called his dad, confessed to the shooting, and his dad immediately told his son to provide medical assistance, call 911, and cooperate with authorities. He also quickly hired an attorney for his son. The woman who was shot told police Dial told his son to hide the gun after the shooting. The gun was never hidden, but the detective still accused Dial of being an accessory to murder. Yesterday, the jury found the detective liable for false arrest and malicious prosecution.
You can't arrest and charge somebody because they say, I got my son an attorney, I'd like to have an attorney involved. That's a constitutional right. And it's not only a right, it's a good thing to do.
Dial's son eventually pleaded guilty to manslaughter. The detective retired in 2024. The town of Parker says it's considering whether to appeal.
Still waiting for a final vote tonight at the state capitol on a bill that would require social media companies to tell law enforcement when they restrict or suspend a user over threatening posts. But even if the legislature passes this bill tonight, Democratic Governor Jared Polis is expected to veto it. The bill was introduced in response to the shooting at Evergreen High School. You may remember that Anti-Defamation League identified some concerning posts months before the shooting and reported them to the FBI in New York, but that information arrived too late for authorities to intervene. This bill would require social media platforms to comply with state law enforcement search warrants within 24 hours and report to police when they take action against a user over posts involving specific imminent threats.
Is it constitutional even? And that is the question that the governor is posing, and I myself and my colleagues in the Senate are posing.
This is not government overextension because it's the social media platforms that are making decisions and identifying posts through their own process that have violated their own rules and policies.
The governor says he is concerned the bill will infringe on free speech. He says his office expressed those concerns to the bill's sponsors, but the bill wasn't changed. As always, when Polis is about to veto something, he said he'll review the final version when it hits his desk.
A nonprofit is calling for protections to preserve Denver's Little Saigon, the Southeast Asian Cultural Corridor along Federal Boulevard. Colorado Asian Pacific United says rising costs and crumbling infrastructure are straining longtime businesses and residents. The group spent roughly 3 years compiling a study on the most urgent threats facing the area. It found that first-generation business owners are aging and retiring without clear succession plans, while those who want to stay face mounting financial pressure. Both situations could lead to possible displacement and turnover that could result in gentrification. The nonprofit is now trying to get the community involved in the conversation.
It's always important to make sure that everyone is brought along the journey. It's important that business owners and people who are most impacted have an actual say in what that future looks like and are able to be a part of planning what the legacy of Little Saigon is.
The group is working to launch a community advisory group this summer to advocate for the corridor.
A form that immigrants have to use to change their address registration with the government could soon become more complicated. The Department of Homeland Security is looking to expand the amount of personal information that immigrants must report.
And immigration attorneys warn that could eventually be used for deportations. 9 News reporter Ria Jha is here with more on that. Ria?
Yeah, if you're not a U.S. citizen and you move, federal law requires you to notify the government of your new address within 10 days. It's a quick 5-minute form for immigration services to keep track of your mailing address to send you notices. But under a new proposal, they would be asking for a lot more information.
For decades, this form has been simple.
5 minutes to fill out.
It's the AR-11.
It's basically a one-page form when you include the directions.
Immigration attorney James Lamb said he's had many of his clients fill it out.
You use it to update your address with the government. Sometimes you can file them online, sometimes you have to file them on paper.
But now the Department of Homeland Security is proposing expanding it.
The government is taking a one-page form and turning it into an 11-page form. As an attorney, I will say upright, I would not likely allow a client to fill out most of this information.
The proposed 11-page form asks for information about employment, schooling, and receipt of what are called means-tested public benefits. That includes government-funded programs like Medicaid, SNAP, and WIC.
These 3 items have nothing to do with getting you your USCIS mail correctly.
Brian Green is also an immigration attorney.
An error when there's this kind of reporting can lead to devastating consequences.
The proposed form warns failure to comply can carry criminal penalties and deportation consequences.
It's collecting data that is going to be used to put people into removal proceedings.
In the proposal, DHS says it wants to use the information to enforce immigration laws, including identifying immigrants who may be receiving government benefits they are not legally allowed to receive.
I've never seen something this simple being used in an enforcement mechanism before.
The more paperwork you present somebody with, the less likely they are to fill it out.
As of now, the change is just a proposal, currently open for public comment. But immigration attorneys are already worried about what could happen.
I'm not sure exactly what the number of people it's going to affect, but it's millions.
It is a big deal in the sense that it can destroy people's lives.
The proposal is currently open for public comment through July 6th. We asked the Department of Homeland Security for more on what they hope to achieve by expanding the form's reporting requirements, but we haven't received a response yet. Ria Jha, 9 News.